Juxtaposition as a literary technique. Now, juxtaposition is when two or more characters or things are placed near each other in a story or a poem to show contrast, like light and dark. The contrast or difference between these things forces us as readers to compare these two things. So let's look at what Steinbeck does with juxtaposition in his novel. Just the whole two characters of George and Lennie alone are juxtaposition. In the description of them from section 1, the first man was small and quick, dark of face with restless eyes and sharp, strong features. So he's this little kind of sharp-eyed, sharp-featured guy. And behind him walked his opposite. Steinbeck even clearly states to us that he's putting these two opposites together. He's juxtaposing these two characters. A huge man, so little guy, big guy, shapeless of face, kind of big, broad face with large, pale eyes, wide, sloping shoulders. And he walked heavily, dragging his feet a little way, the way a bear drags his paws. His arms did not swing at his sides, but swung loosely. So these two guys are very different, and Steinbeck juxtaposes these two characters right from the start. Another thing that's interesting, this is from section 5, that is the barn imagery. Remember, imagery is the description of what things look like, smell like, sound like, etc. On the very first page of section 5, it reads, "The resting horses nibbled the remaining wisps of hay. The afternoon sun sliced in through the cracks of the barn walls and lay in bright lines on the hay. The horses resting and nibbling wisps of hay and the sun being bright. These images make it feel kind of like a lazy, nice day there in the barn." But then at the end of section 5, after Curly's wife has been killed by Lennie, it comes back at the very, very end to this imagery, the description of the barn. The barn was darkening gradually, and in their stalls the horses shifted their feet and rattled their halter chains. So there's this contrast of these two things, this right near each other within the same chapter. The resting horses nibbling at the beginning, at the end, the horses are shifting their feet. After the murder, the horses are uneasy and making noise. In the beginning, the sun is bright. At the end, after the murder, the barn was darkening. So the juxtaposition of the light and the dark imagery is really interesting here in section 5. Another thing, and this is all on the same page, was Lennie's emotions and how they're juxtaposed there. In this example, he unburied the puppy and inspected it, and he stroked it from ears to tail. This is after he's murdered his little puppy. He went on sorrowfully, "But he'll know. George always knows." Suddenly, his anger arose. "God damn you," he cried. "Why do you got to get killed? You ain't so little as mice." So this contrasting feelings of being sorrowful, to feel bad, and then to be angry, all within the same moment, kind of shows what Lennie deals with in his own mind. So juxtaposition is an interesting technique that writers use to put two things, contrasting opposite things together, and help us make comparisons.